Welcome everyone to a new edition of the Uplink. My name is Travis Teague, and a lot of you folks know me as T Teague over on our Discord channel on Helium. And I run the Helium Hacks Happy Hour. I serve as developer growth lead. We have Simon from over at Datacake, who is going to be talking about a very cool console native integration, we've developed and a lot of you are using. I know a lot of folks on Helium Hack Happy Hour have been, using Datacake. They know Simon. They know his partner, Lucas. Simon, welcome, man. Welcome to the Uplink.
Thanks, Travis. Hi to everyone. Thanks for the chance that we could be here and present our solution. Thank you very much.
So I guess initially what I'd kind of like to do, I could go over an agenda. We're going to do just a quick intro. I'll talk about Helium. I think most folks on this call probably know what Helium is all about. But give me 5 minutes. I won't take up too much time. But let me give a bit of a background, and then I can pass things over. You talk about Datacake and kind of how we fit in together, and with this console integration, and how easy it is really to use and integrate Datacake into the Helium console, into your data flow, when you have all of this information coming in from the outside to get this on not just like a browser-based, but also a mobile-based dashboard. This is going to be a general background real quick on Helium. And so we were founded in 2013. With the mission to make it easier to build decentralized wireless network. And so just over the past 18 months, we've absolutely been killing it on deployment. I mean, we're over 28,000 hotspots that are deployed worldwide. And this isn't just US, we're pushing this globally. The reason we're able to do this is because of people like you, because of the community, because of everyone who's working, who's deploying these hotspots and getting these out there. That's why we call this the People's Network. That has effectively made us the largest LoRaWAN network in the world. Thank you, each and every one of you. So over the past 8 years, we've pulled in, I guess, about 53 million from investors, and this is from Google Ventures or GV, and First Smart Capital, Multicoin Capital, Union Square Ventures, and they have really allowed us to build up, to deploy what we're doing here. We're at this point right now where we're not just doing LoRaWAN. We've now moved to a point, which I'm sure many of you have heard, that we're also moving into a different type of wireless, which would be 5G. We are all very excited about this, and I would love to speak about this. But today's topic and what we're talking about today is Datacake and how you get your information from sensors in the field, from your deployments, over to one of the coolest dashboarding solutions out there. I'm kind of going to cut this short on the Helium intro today. If you have any questions, come over to Discord. We have built this network that allows you to earn HNT, but I want to make good use of everyone's time today. And so Simon, I'm going to kind of cut the Helium part short, and I want to jump directly over to you and start up on the console integration. And I want you to show me how, someone who has sensors on their console, getting that data over into Datacakes, man. Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction, Travis. I would also like to give a short introduction to Datacake. So I think I'm able to share my screen right now. Okay, let's go over we created a small marketing page for you guys because basically, the history of Datacake goes back into 2015, but we were coming from a completely different perspective. So at that time, Industry 4.0, IoT and industrial environments came very popular in Germany, and I was working for an industrial company producing machines that they just stand somewhere at the customers, and then they needed data back. So we were thinking of connectivity could help us here, optimizing service, spending less money on service costs and so on. And we needed a platform that could work with people who are not so much into IoT and programming. We couldn't find that platform, and we decided to build it on our own. First, it was like we were having our own hardware. We were kind of ignoring the LoRaWAN space, but we did know that it exists. And then in 2019, the core product of Datacake became this platform and the dashboarding solution. And so we jumped on in 2020 on the LoRaWAN train, because in 2020, LoRaWAN was taking off. And then we heard about Helium. I think it was like, Travis, you and I, we had a chat in, I think, April 2020 or so what. And we both were so busy that we got out of touch. And then we reconnected in 2021 because of we were integrating all the LoRaWAN network providers. And of course, we wanted to integrate you. Because we were seeing what you were doing on the market, on the US market, and we had so many questions of like how to get Helium devices onto our console. Datacake right now, the core product is the platform, the dashboarding solution, and we provide an easy solution that you can deploy to your customers. Datacake is all for visualizing the data that's coming from your sensors, storing it on our back end. Some numbers for our backend right now, we are receiving like 6 million messages per day. That was a new record for us because we also had a high growth because of IoT literally was taking off in 2020. At least that's what we think. We got this 6 million messages that we store 70 per day, per second, which is for us a complete record. And so our backend is very strong. And on top, we've got this super flexible front end. And solutions where you can get your sensors onto Datacake and deploy them to your customers. And this is what I'm going to show you now and how this works. I've created a basic account for that. So Datacake is cloud-based. It's a web interface. Everything happens on the platform. You can sign up for free. You can get yourself an account here. I've created this demo account. And when you log in, the first thing that you see is the screen, which is your workspace. Workspace is the multi-tenancy feature. And in your workspace, you can simply add devices by pressing on the Add Device button. And let's get this here out of the way a little bit. This, I think, a way to get this smaller. Yeah. And as you can see here, LoRaWAN is the first thing that you see. And so the sensors that are working with the Helium network are LoRaWAN-based sensors. And one thing that our customers really like about Datacake is that we provide different templates for all these existing sensors out there. Not for all existing sensors, but basically we work in a way that when a customer comes and requests a template that we not have yet, then we are very keen on integrating these sensors. And of course, you find the most prominent sensors here. Today I would like to show you how you can bring, this is a branded version of we put a nice Datacake sticker on it, on the Dragino LHT65, and how easy it is to bring that from Helium into Datacake. So, but first of all, let's go into the Helium console. I would assume in this tutorial that the devices you have are already in place, so I will not tell you how you get your devices on Helium console. And in this case, I've already added this device here a few minutes ago. So this is the device that is on Helium, and in Datacake, this is the red screen, we find this template here. So we pressed on Add Device, we choose LoRaWAN, and we can choose from a template here, which is the LHT65, press on Next. And then, of course, we select the Helium network server, and we can see we support both uplinks and downlinks. And when we press on Next, we now need to provide the dev EUI, so the serial number for that device. And we can go over back to Helium and copy the serial number and paste this here and give this, a name. There's also the option to import multiple ones. Right now, because we're always asked about how can we add hundreds of devices, there are options to do that. We can provide scripts, we can provide importers. We do have our own importers where customers bring us an Excel sheet or a CSV sheet and we simply import them. But we of course want to extend this whole integration here, and in the future it will be like you will just giving like a login for the Helium console, and then it will take all the informations like the devices, the applications, and so on, and import that right out of the box. But right now, this is for the first step. You just provide the dev UI and the name, and then you press on next, and then it comes to the place, because everybody got so excited about that. What is it all about with the free devices is? So basically, devices on Datacake do cost a monthly fee because of storing data and enabling all these functions like alerts and stuff like that. But we always support 2 free devices on Datacake. They are fully featured, and we store the data for 7 days losslessly. You can upgrade to a different pricing here, and you can choose that directly. This is not the end of that pricing. So with all customers that scale, we do have custom pricings. Or if somebody says, I've got just 1 data point per day, but I need them to store for 2 years, we can of course create a custom pricing here. But let's stick to the free plan. We add that device, and what happens then is that in your workspace, you can see that device here. And when you open that up, in the template, there's a dashboard attached, which gives you the basic dashboards or the information from the sensor. And also in the configuration, we have like a payload decoder attached to that device. The reason why we have payload decoders on our side is because we would like to work with raw payloads from the sensor for many reasons. One of the reasons is because of then we are compatible with different network servers, but also we do have some options like in the payload decoder, checking all the data on the database, comparing them, and then forwarding them to Datacake. We're also creating the database fields, so customers do not need to program this decoder or the database fields. It's all in the template, but they could, for example, if they want, add additional fields or do some modifications to the payload decoder. Yes.
Simon, if I may interrupt here for just a moment.
Sure.
Just so you can slow down, because I mean you're rocking and rolling here. But if you scroll down on the payload decoder, and we're talking about these variables, these are variables that are not needed to be defined by the user, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And so this is effectively automatically going to be created if I'm going through a template for a sensor. If I have something that is known with a decoder, then these will be defined for me. Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the biggest benefits that you get from Datacake. This is because inside the template, there's everything that you need. So you don't need to define these variables. You don't need to find the list of variables that you have here at the bottom, and you don't need to define the dashboard. It's already there. I mean, that's so huge, and I don't want that to be understated on how convenient that is. And that's dashboard. That's going to be your browser dashboard. That's going to be your mobile dashboard as well. You know, if I have something that's known, then I don't have to go through a lot of the tedium of defining this. Yeah, exactly. And you don't need to develop it on your own, because this is the it gets the what's that called? I think hurdle very low for the first customers to join in and step in. We see a lot of signups from people who are on the IoT space, but who are not so much into programming or just start with their first devices. And for them, they need an easy solution. And this is what we are trying to do and trying to deliver. And as you can see here on the configuration, you've got this LoRaWAN section. So we're in the configuration of that device, and we've got this LoRaWAN section here where we can also override the dev UI, and everything is placed here. And then it's this nice little Helium icon. And we've got this settings for downlinks and so on. And what we did, we were working with Helium on a native integration. And so on the console side, you also got in the sidebar an option called integrations, where you find all the different platforms available. And of course, there's a Datacake integration preset that when you click, guides you through the necessary steps to hook up the integration. The first thing that we need to provide is a token. And this is because we take security very, it's a high priority for us. And we've come up with a
special token system to secure the webhook information. That we know that these webhooks coming to Datacake are definitely from Helium. And in our Datacake workspace on the sidebar, we can find members here. And these members, first of all, allow us, of course, to invite additional users, but also allow us to create tokens. So simply by creating a token by pressing a button, give it again a name. I've already created a Helium token, and we can simply copy this here and paste this into the Helium console. And then, everything else is just, we can continue to provide this Datacake integration number 2. We can also provide a label like DTCK. I've already created a label at this integration. And now the Helium console is prepared to forward data to Datacake. So we can go back into our devices, go back into that device here, and then back on Datacake, which is that one here, and back to our device. And now, hopefully, my hotspot, because it had some connectivity problems, is back online. In the integrations, you find these labels, and we need, of course, to choose a label. And of course, the device itself also needs to be attached to that label.
And that's what ties the integration to the device to the, exactly.
Yes,
cool.
Exactly. That's something I was completely new to as well. In the first place, when I hooked up your console to our Datacake platform, I wasn't sure what labels are, so I left it, and I was trying to figure out where the data doesn't flow. But basically, I understand the concept of labels, so that you apply a label to it, and then you have a group of devices, so you can separate the integrations to send this to different places. Yeah.
Right. So you can have multiple integrations, working on a particular device, and it's a very flexible system. But if you don't use them, you get no data. So
yes, of course,
And so we see now we have an associated integrations, and the Datacake integration 2 is now listed here.
And we can also override the tokens later on, and maybe do some changes here. We also have a debug log here, and where you can see the informations and webhook informations coming from your console, what makes Datacake so special. So let's go into a different workspace, because there I've got some different devices in here which are receiving data. This one actually was on this device is a dust guard, which we presented to on your Helium hacks, the happy hour, 2 months ago or something like that. And we had that on the console as well. So we can take this, and basically this is how it looks if the device has stored data for a long time. And so, like, also in this example, you add a device and you get this template here, and then you can start and record the data and work with that. As we were talking about that, everything comes out of the template, the dashboard, the fields, everything. But we allow modifications to the dashboard. And for that, we've integrated a very flexible and user-friendly designer into Datacake, where you can drag and drop things around or delete things, make them larger. So that means that you could create the dashboard how you want that to look like. The sensor has a probe. We don't want that probe. So basically we take everything out, and we could also make things a little bit larger, so that super important numbers are very, very big or stuff like that. And you can take out the things that you don't need. We also support a variety of different widgets. It's not the biggest list in the world of widgets, but we are working on to bring some new widgets in there. But we've got the basic things covered, like value widgets, maps, and tables, and so on. We have so many ideas, like bringing the features to the value widget, so that you will see some new widgets coming along. But basically, we cover with these widgets, the basic stuff. And you have this designer. Don't judge me on the design right now. I was just clicking widely around, but basically, you can create the dashboard how you want that to look like.
What's cool, Simon? You're going a million miles a minute here, and I'm going to slow you down just for a second.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, like, for example, I've got a device like this, right? And this is a Seed sense cap light intensity sensor, right? You support something known as templating with Datacake. And so if I am a user and this isn't on your network, like you don't have a template for this, and I want to use this, and I want to use it multiple times, or I want, if someone else, put this up there, then I could actually benefit from them, adding this template onto the Datacake system, right?
Yes. Right now we are working on community templates, but right now you are going. Let's assume we don't have this preset. We start with a new product, and we call that product Travis product, for example. And in the next step, we select Helium, of course, and we simply just provide something that's fake here so that I can delete this Travis device. And this gets you to the point where you define the device from scratch. So it means that you could completely design everything, the dashboard. In the configuration, you see that there is no payload decoder. You need to define that. You can copy and paste that from existing sources and modify it a little bit. And you have to create the database fields. So next time someone comes and wants to use that in your workspace, we've got the option to choose the existing product. And now it chooses the things that are available in the workspace. That means I could select Travis product and press on next, and I could add another product from another device.
And I don't have to redo any of that design that I put in. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. No, that's great.
It goes even further. If you have 100 devices, and you do a change to the dashboard, which is needed on all 100 devices, and you do the change to the Travis product, it applies these changes to all 100 devices simultaneously at the same time, and also everything that you changed on that. This is basically the product feature. What we are working on, because we need contribution from the community, because that helps us, because to get more templates, these template section here right now, if someone comes and says, I've created this very great template and I want everybody to have this in Datacake, of course we can mark this internally on our backend as a template, and then it will be listed here. But ultimately we are the last ones that need to check this is a good template and put the logo on and so on. But basically we can also do that.
And in that process, you kind of go through and validate that the, your decoders for that or anything associated with the template, works for that type of sensor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, a little bit of oversight. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yes. And because of, we were just talking about the dashboard designer. What I wanted to show is that the designing functions that I was just showing are also available. On the mobile page. So right now, Travis, you mentioned that we do have an app, native smartphone app for Android and iOS. In this case, it's using our older dashboard builder right now, and this brings it and maps it to the native Android and iOS app. We have this package called White Label where you can add your domain and so on. I'm talking about that in a few minutes, but white labeling does not work for an app which comes from a company, because we cannot release apps for everyone through our account. So that's why we decided to focus on the web interface and make that web interface more mobile friendly. And this is why we have this additional layout editor here where you can create a layout from your app dashboard, which you define.
Okay, slow down. Slow down here. What you just did, like everything that you would design on the other dashboard, on the desktop dashboard, you just pulled that over onto the mobile and said, look, okay, I want to make this a phone, like reactive type site, right?
Exactly. And this
is effectively what just happened here.
Yeah, exactly. But this editor is for when you open up the platform in the browser of your mobile devices, because right now we are focusing more on the platform, so the web interface. And the app that we provide is very, very basic, because features like white label and so don't work on that mobile, on the native app. So this is what we did. You have a desktop app and you want your users to be able to open up this desktop dashboard on your smartphone browser. You can edit the mobile layout, and you can override or derive that from the desktop in that case. And then it's available and looking exactly like you want it to look like. Thanks. Yeah, and this is basically why the starting time is so low with Datacake. When you have these templates and you have devices that are in that template, you can pretty easily get them to Datacake. Also, the device that you were just showing, I think that it was the
SenseCap.
Yeah. I own a few of them as well. So
okay. Oh, and if you look there, there's a generic preset.
Yeah.
And that basically has a large decoder that allows you to handle a lot of the different sensors that can be thrown through there. So that will probably handle that, honestly.
Yeah, and then you can take out what you don't need.
Yep.
And have this as a product and add your devices to that product. And so they automatically inherit from that product. Yeah.
And so the more time I spend like working within Datacake, and the more time that other people do, the less time I have to, because it does get considerably easier as more templates are added to the system. Can you talk about white labeling? Because I think I see that as one of the huge benefits of the Datacake system.
It is also one of the most popular packages that we have. Datacake is cloud hosted, and we've got this front end here, and white label allows you to host. It's still hosted on our site, but to link the Datacake platform to a custom domain. It's pretty easy to set that up because on the sidebar, you see a white label option. This is a white label demo site called PAX Counter for a device that counts people. More on that in a few seconds. But the white label, you enable this by the click of a button, and it allows you to override the name. So it's not Datacake, it's the PAX Counter white label platform. It allows you to override the Datacake logo everywhere so that there is no Datacake logo any longer and no reference to Datacake. It allows you to set your own terms of service, and you can decide if you want to have like a sign up for users or not. You add your own domain simply by pasting this here. Of course, you need to buy the domain on your side, but we can verify DNS settings and so on. So simply, it's like you create a website on one of these website designers like WordPress or Squarespace, and then you hook up your own domain, and everything looks like your website, and you build it. And this is like the IoT platform, Datacake, that you built with your name, your domain, and so on. Also, emails for alerts or sign up or password reset normally come from Datacake. On the white label, they come from your domain and from your email address. You can also override the name, which is preset in the email. And you can choose the device types. Basically, white label is very prominent and use it in that way that they buy lower band sensors, they pre-configure them for their users and customers, and then they ship them to their customers and provide a PIN code. So that means that they put a sticker on the box and the customer opens it up and he doesn't see if it's LoRaWAN or whatever. They just place the gateway and then they put in the PIN code. But you could also decide if you want to have the LoRaWAN section as well. But that would also mean that you would need to enable the billing section and so on. So it's pretty user definable. We can take out certain parts of Datacake. Also, the complete API that we have a REST API and a GraphQL API and also Mqtt server running. And with the white label package, all three are completely white labeled so that there's no Datacake reference at all. And yeah, this is something that we had a lot of feedback from customers using the white label, and they were just sitting there every night and seeing if they could find a Datacake reference somewhere, and they were just sending over informations where is Datacake preset, and we take this all out.
But Simon, white labeling goes beyond that. I mean, if I'm wanting to white label, then I can have tenants underneath me as part of this white label?
Tenants are always there. Even on the free plan, when you just have two free devices, you always get as you can see here, I'm on the Datacake domain and not on the white label. And this sidebar here at the top has this tenant selector. So that means that we could go ahead and create, we call that workspace, a tenant for Travis tenant. And then we create this here, and it starts once more with an empty workspace. And here you can invite members exactly like in all the other tenants. But this is not something that we limit to white label. It's always the case that it's there. So basically you have these tenants always, which allows you to create a tenant for customers, but also a tenant for grouping devices into different workspaces. So that's why we call that workspaces and not tenants, because tenant is something that when you talk about tenants, people think it's just for a company or for the customer and so on, but we want to call that workspaces because the workspace holds the devices and the members and the products, and you can move them between those tenants as well.
Right. Okay, everyone take a step back. Just let that sink in on what he's talking about here. That's awesome. The functionality that gives you is quite cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, this was coming from working on the industrial sector. We had the challenge that the devices we were delivering the platform for the first customer were sold all around the world through a distributor channel. So that means that the company never knows where the device ends up. So they needed to build in these distributors, and for them we created these tenants so that they could create their own tenant, and they were super happy of that. Also on the free plan, you got the tenant or the workspace settings, and you can choose your own logo here. So that overrides the Datacake logo on top. But still you're on the same domain, but you could override that logo here as well. For white label, it's for your customers. When they sign up, they have your white label logo. But on top of that, they could also, the end customer, if he wants to have his own logo for his own whatever, he could also override that logo on the workspace. So it's individualization for everyone in that case. So this is how it would look. This is basically the account I'm using here on the Datacake, and I've set up the white label on the PAX counter. And I'm accessing this white label now through this dashboard.paxcounter.com. So no Datacake reference, the other logo here, but still, as I was mentioning, it would be possible to change the logo here for your ultimate end customer if he wants to have his own logo, because customers like it if they have some kind of option where they could put their logo on. And in here, you can also see the devices. And now I would like to show you what I meant with claiming devices between different tenants. So if we go back to a device, because it's very popular functionality, let's take this dust guard functionality here. And let's assume I would be the manufacturer of this device, and I would like to ship that to a customer, and the customer would use this device on my white label. We've got the option to define a claim code, which is just checking this box here. We can leave that to this pretty easy claim code here. And by simply copying the serial number and then go over to the white label, and let's select the Travis tenant here. Let's assume I'm Travis now, and I've registered here on the dashboard.tax counter. I only got the option for PIN code because that's how I configured the white label. And I can now paste the serial number and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I add this device, and it's now being added to my workspace without any configuration at all. And this is something that's pretty cool because we have a lot of customers sending devices and a gateway, like a Helium hotspot, to a customer. They plug it on, and then or the Helium hotspot is already there, and then they have the coverage, and they just simply need to claim the device.
And with that set up, that wasn't even a minute that would take you to get in and get that set up, and boom, you have a dashboard on this. That's cool as hell, man.
Yeah, that's actually really fast. It's just because of everything is set up, and it just takes the control over there, and the data is already preset and loaded, and it runs pretty fast.
So I got a question. I got to throw it. What if I want an alert on something? Can we kind of jump over a little bit and talk about?
Yeah, sure.
That?
Of course. Alerts, we call that rules right now because we do alerting with basic rules, and we choose the device and the field which we want to alert on, like let's say the PM10, or it could be a temperature, and also a time range. And we want the current value. We could also define an average value on here, and we want to be alerted if it's less makes no sense. If it's larger than 25, so very bad air quality, for example, it was 25, And then we've got the option to, it's basically like an if this then that setup. You can define different conditions and options, and the options are send an email, send an SMS where you can enter a cell phone number, call a webhook to call third party to forward the data for your alerts to third party alerting systems. And also you could like send a downlink to like different devices. So if you have devices that can receive controls over downlinks like relays from Dragino or other LoRaWAN stuff devices, you can send downlinks as well in that alert here. And you could also send a downlink and an email to be alerted and to switch on that output, for example. You could also set retriggering, which means that this rule is being triggered every time a new value comes, so that you have multiple alerts in here. And then you just simply create that rule. Okay, let's leave that, create that rule. And that rule is then being created on the device here. And you can deactivate that rule if you want to pause that or just reactivate that. This is pretty basic functionality. So this is how our rules work. You can also chain multiple devices inside the rules. So you could take a different device in here and something like that. And you can say if it's and or. It's a basic functionality. We have some plans to extend this to have more functionality on that. But this is basically how our alerting system works. And it would send you an alert based on the rule. Also, because I've created that on the white label, means that these alerts are now sent from the white label side and not from the Datacake side. What we will do in the future is that we will turn the rules into alerts. We will have a new sidebar item where you can see alerts that are coming up. So alerts that need to be acknowledged, stuff like that. And you can also then have a global dashboard where you can see the number of alerts, or you can go onto devices. In the devices section, we can, of course, blend in multiple types here, and you could see the alerting status directly here so that you can see this. This is the plans that we have for the rules section. And right now it's basic reporting and sending out of SMS and email messages.
So Simon, one of the questions coming in was asking about GPS, and one of the widgets that you can throw up here is a mapping widget, right? So you can, pull GPS data from, it's coming in from a sensor into a dashboard easily, right?
Yes, that's correct. The functions that we have for GPS are pretty basic right now. What you can do is you can add a map widget, and then you could select the location field and the appearance, like the style. We are using Mapbox style, but we also want to support different styles in here as well. And you could also set a historical data. So that means that it records the routes in here. And let's simulate this location once more so that we've got a nicer location. Different device in here. Let's take this one. I think that this is an asset tracker. Yeah. Just for showcase.
There we go.
What we've got is, if you have a GPS device, I've got one of these here. I think they were also somewhere on your packages, these tabs from Browan, I think. And this is not working because I'm inside a building, but if you have a GPS capability, a GPS powered device, this is what we've got. We've got templates. So also for this tabs tracker here, the template would also look in that case that you have this map. And on this map, you've got the slider here where you can see the movement of that device. This is the basic features that we have for GPS. So simply a map, and then it will show you where the position was and where you were going and so on. Right now, we don't have the features for geofencing, and we are adding these functionalities. Also, we believe that every device should have a position. So it means that in the future, you would have a map on the sidebar where you can click on and you can see all the devices directly in the map. But right now, you create a device from template, it has a map already, or you would go into a dashboard and create a map and then blend in multiple devices from that map.
And then I'm also getting what my RSSI, and I can get signal to noise ratio, from the LoRaWAN.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the, let's go here to the Helium webinar device. We've taken the LHD65. And as you can see, this template comes with the uplink, RSSI, the SNR, and the data rate, which is directly coming from your console. So we take out all the information that are available in your webhook and route them directly to the device. And it's also stored historically, means that you can have the historical development. So if the RSSI goes down or up, you can make sure that there are more devices, hotspots around and stuff like that.
Awesome. And you also have functionality so I can watch live data coming through the system, right? I can
Yeah.
look and see as this data comes through. I have the opportunity to do that. And I can also go over to history. Can we talk about that just a bit here and what this allows
Yes,
us to
sure.
do?
It makes sense for that in that case to take a device that has more historical data. History Basic is one of the oldest parts in our platform, so it's a database viewer for that particular device. So in that case, we have this dust control sensor, and we simply select one of the fields that we want to display, and we can say, okay, give me the current hour, give me the development of that value for the current day. We can also override the resolution to really get 1 minute data. So this is the lowest setting possible because it takes a lot of data from our backend and fetches it. This device actually is configured with a 2-minute send interval, but basically LoRaWAN would be like 5 minutes or 30 minutes, and you could really clear that out. You could also take the overview of a whole week for that. It takes some time to fetch the data, and you can compare last week with the current week and switch back to that. And you could also, in that case, select multiple fields here and then show them on the graph here on the history viewer. Also, what the history offers is like an export where you can export the current time range of that sensor to Excel, CSV, JSON with either raw data or a quantized based on the minutes that you set here. But we've got something new, which is better than this feature here, because we were talking, a lot of customers were requesting automated reports, and which is also something that works with the history. We've got this reports here on the side, and in this reports, you can do the same like in history, but you can say, give me a report every day, 12 o'clock, create that report, and then it will send you automated data simply based on the history. We can call that Travis report. And yeah, in here you define the same time range and the fields that you want to display. So like in this case, similar to how the history works, except that you don't see the graphs here, but it will then send you, we can do that once more here. We can run that report now, run it. And then when we go back into that report, we can see, okay, we reload that. Here is the, there was no time range set on that device, but basically it was sending this report as a CSV file to the email that you in this case would give here. Any more questions so far? I'm just watching the clock. I'm not sure how many time we still got.
Yeah, we're coming up towards the top of the hour, but we've had a few questions that I know have been addressed here. I want to make sure that we're not missing anything. I've tried to feed a couple of them over your direction, as we've been moving through this.
Yeah,
but
I can see if I have, yeah.
So I can see the history, and I can set what history level that I want to be displayed for that particular device, correct?
Yes, this is all done in the configuration of the widgets. So as you can see here on the dashboard builder, you've got this tiny pencil icon where you can change the configuration, and here you set the time frame. Perfect. And we set a custom time frame 1 day ago up until now, and I want to have a resolution of 5 minutes. I could go, I could set, we have some predefinitions here, but we can have a custom time range. And also, because we are all working in different time zones, we can select a time zone here. If you are not setting relative dates, but like absolute dates, like 2 days or Monday, midnight, whatever, then you need the time zone is here. But this is how you do it. We could also deactivate that, and that would just show the last coordinates or the current one, or the historical ones.
Cool. And what I can also do, I can go through, say I want to set a location, or if I want to force like a variable.
That's correct. You would do this in that case. Let's go into the Helium. What you would do is in the configuration, you create a new field. So that's how our database works, through fields. And you would call that manual location. You select the type, which is geolocation. It will be added at the end of the list here. And on the list, you've got this more option, and then you can override the fields. So you can set manual position. Right now, you need to select the position. And in the future, we will be able to have a number field here where you can paste in geo coordinates for latitude and longitude directly. You set the value, and then you've recorded this into this manual location field. And you could then display this on a map so you see what sensors have this, what they have for location.
Yeah. And that can be super useful as well. If I have a device that doesn't have GPS on it, but I want to know where that device is located, then I can have this location data associated with the sensor. Yeah, very cool.
Exactly. And this is, by the way, also a good example for what the future will bring, because this one was right now very manual, but we want in the future this to be happening automatically. That means that every sensor should have a location. Right now we have this location text field here where you can say it's building, for example, building number 2, stuff like that. But in the future, the GPS coordinates will be available for all devices from a preset, right? Even if you take a new device and start from scratch, it will automatically have this location because we think that every sensor should have a location, and we use that for a generic map that we have on the sidebar. So yeah, that makes totally sense to have it that way.
What if I have a device that I'm getting something from temperature that is read in Celsius, and I want to display that in Fahrenheit? How do I do that with Datacake? I'm sorry, man.
2 ways. No. That's a completely good question. Right now, it would be manual. You would do this either in the payload decoder directly by providing a formula in that payload decoder, or if you're not into programming, we've got this temperature here. What we can do is we can create a mapping field. Once more, I need to select the temperature. So you can create a mapping field, and the mapping field is something that does calculations on the field. So we can call that, I hope this is spelled right. Don't judge me if I've done some mistakes here. And float, and then you can have a linear scale where you could map. I'm not 100% sure of the formula, but it is something like you map from 0 to 100, and then you would map the Fahrenheit equivalent to that 70. This is not right what I'm typing in here, I know, but basically this has to be higher, I guess. This is how you would do a mapping field. You could also apply a factor in here if it's linear factor, but as Fahrenheit is not that linear, I guess. It is linear, but you can just not do it with the factor. So you provide the sources and the target values, you press on save, and then you see here in the list the added mapping field, which is temperature, from temperature, which is Fahrenheit. And then it converts automatically. If you would send a new value, like let's simulate the value of 10, it would convert it to 4. I know the conversation is not correct.
It doesn't matter. No, the concept is there. And this is perfect, man. This is great. Yeah.
And this also goes for example, this battery comes with voltage. You can add a mapping field to map the voltage from 2 to, I think, 4 volts to 0 to 100 %. And then you've got a battery percentage. Save that. You've got this battery percentage now, and when we would, for example, set this to 3 volts, it would convert to 50%. This is, but also the future is like having these conversations, like additional options where you can select from a drop-down, like convert this to Fahrenheit, and we want to step back from all this manual stuff and make it more automatically and more easier in that case.
So I see something that says Mqtt at the bottom.
Yeah. Yes, we are running our own Mqtt broker, and all the data that you see here on the dashboards, and this is, by the way, a dashboard that I've got here in my home, and you could see that there are some new values coming in. They are being sent through Mqtt for real-time communication. So what we have here in Mqtt is that you have a device on your Helium console, you bring it to Datacake, and you automatically can subscribe to that topic here from that device and receive its data via MQTT. And it's not raw data, it's directly encoded data based on the fields here. So if some of those fields change, they will be published through that MQTT broker. And also, as you can see, we're on a white label. This is the white label server address. So this is for MQTT publish. We are using this for real-time communication, and there's a huge amount of MQTT data running right now through our MQTT broker. So this is for real-time communication. You could also write back data to the devices using MQTT and trigger downlinks, for example, that being sent to your device.
And so I'm seeing all these comments kind of coming through. It looks like people are pretty happy with what you're showing off here, but what's Node-RED, man?
Yeah.
Can we go there? Can we talk about this? Or
yeah, I mean, it's your time, not my time. I'm just joining the whole time. So if you just say that we have another minute, then yeah.
We've got another minute as far as I'm concerned. I want to respect everyone's time here, but if you have to drop off, I understand that. But I think folks would really like to see this here.
Okay, Node-RED. So basically Node-RED, when you Google for that, Node-RED, just to give a short history on that, is an open source graphical programming language, which originally comes or still comes from the team at IBM. And this is pretty cool because it's, super useful. You can just write custom code with designing some blocks. It has tons of integration for IoT stuff. And we were having the challenge at the beginning of Datacake that everybody wants to have custom code. And we were designing custom code on the platform. And this turned out to be a very bad idea. So we came up with a tool called Cake-RED. And Cake-RED is nothing else than Node-RED, which is hosted in the workspace. So you've got to see that, you see this here on the sidebar. It's an optional package. It's not needed for Datacake, but if you want a Node-RED that is completely inside your Datacake workspace, you can find this here directly, and it comes predefined with nodes for Datacake, which you can drop in and then select the workspace in here. And then you've got all these different sensors in here, which you can select, and the different temperature fields and so on.
And that's all auto-populated, right?
Yes, because in the backend, we are setting the tokens as well. We make sure that it's running directly and that you don't need to set this manually. But if you're familiar with Node-RED, which a lot of people are, we Node-RED Datacake, we have these Node-RED nodes as open source, so you can use the Datacake nodes on any Node-RED, even if that's on a device or somewhere else. And in this case, this is running in the workspace here, and we are using this for some things like this is at my home here, where I controlling smart irrigation. And we have some different basic stuff in here. So like we were working with OPC-UA PLC controllers, and Node-RED has these extensions, and so you can drag and drop these things on here and then make some custom things.
And I can install like AWS over here if I want. I mean, I can install whatever Node-RED. This is completely compatible, right? If I want to. Cool.
Exactly. This we haven't limited it. So that means we have this is called, I'm not sure how I can change the language in Node-RED. It automatically defaults to German all the time. But basically, you can install extensions, and they have a couple of extensions for AWS and so on. And I've installed extensions for Azure in that case, for showcase with the customer. And you could use that and bring then the Datacake node here and connect that. And so it's now forwarding data from Datacake, from the device from Helium to Datacake to that node to Azure, for example. This is good for proof of concepts, for first rollouts with a few devices. But if you are talking about thousands of devices, then it doesn't make sense to do that in Node-RED. It would be better in code running on a separate entity. But basically, this is a super cool prototyping tool.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. Enough people don't say that about Node-RED. I mean, it is very powerful, very, very powerful, flexible, but you don't want to deploy with it typically.
No, and especially sometimes it breaks because of we are using many extensions here, and as you can see in the installer, let's Google search for AWS. This is 7 months old. This is more than a year's old. This is okay. This is 2 months old, but basically never choose those that are 5 years old. They would work, but if you have them in the Node-RED, it lets your Node-RED crash very quickly, and we have experienced that pretty often. But we have made the decision that we don't want to limit the Node-RED because we think that this extension feature is good. And if it works, this instance here is running for a month without an issue because I know how to treat it. But basically Node-RED is nothing for scale, but it helps you to get a proof of concept or for smaller amounts of devices on
Sure.
it.
If you want to bang like a proof of concept out in an afternoon, Node-RED can be great. But to that point, like the Things Network, they have Node-RED nodes that they don't support anymore. I believe those are all deprecated now. It's for banging an idea out very quickly. It's a great little tool, a great sketchpad to have, and that's why I wanted to bring it up with you. I wanted the community to be able to kind of see that how this integrates and how I can deploy this into the the Cake-RED, I guess the Datacake ecosystem.
I'm using this pretty often for with the internal nodes that come with Node-RED directly because they are scalable and actually very stable. And I'm using them to sort out data. Also, we have this GraphQL API, and I'm using Node-RED very often to do GraphQL calls and to sort out the data and then forward it to different types of things. This is where I am using it very often. And also in here to use MQTT and connect to our devices on Datacake and then forward them. I was using MQTT here because it would be easier just to take and paste in the topics rather than selecting everything from the dropdown. But basically, if you stick with these nodes that come directly with Node-RED, it's easier. It's more stable and safe and secure. Yeah.
Can you double click on one of the Datacake in or out nodes? Just
sure.
Yeah, just so folks can once again see kind of.
When you add the Datacake node inside Cake-RED, it automatically generates, like in this case here, like a home, this workspace, because it was my home workspace, so it was coming from here, and I've got automatically all sensors in it. And then I could select a measurement in here, like CO2, press on done, and I can then select the debug node, press on deploy, and I could potentially see the data coming from these ones here. Yeah, this is all you need to do. So, and if you run Node-RED on your own, you can integrate these Node-RED Datacake nodes as well. But in that case, you would need to provide a token, exactly like how we did this for the Helium console, and this would in that case happen here in the members section. API users, you create a separate API user, and you select Node-RED token, and you would require only devices so that it can read from the devices, but not the other stuff. So it's separated from that. You press on save, and that has been created. This token here, you can copy that and bring that to your devices.
Nice. So for example, I could run this on Raspbian or a Raspberry Pi at my house that was also running maybe my home automation system, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And okay, and then I just use that API code and it allows me to tie in.
Cool, what is pretty cool is that there are a lot of modern PLC manufacturers that have Node-RED embedded on their PLC controllers. And we could use that in addition to the LoRaWAN sensors to have like a PLC controller with Node-RED sending to Datacake, but also like a hotspot with LoRaWAN sensors sending to Datacake, and all integrate that. And you don't need to program the PLC controller because that's something that is pretty cool at Node-RED. And actually, there are a lot of PLC controllers that have this Node-RED feature enabled, and you can then install the extension on that.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for kind of going through the whole process there on
you're welcome.
Node-RED and the Cake-RED integration there. That's a very powerful feature that, like you say, like with PLC, with SCADA, with if you're looking at doing some type of industrial IoT integration, that's huge, man. You see this all across the board.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
But yeah, I mean, Simon, thank you for being with us today.
No, I have to say thank you. It was a pleasure being here. So, and thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, man. Thanks for working with us on the integration. This has been fantastic. I'm excited. And I know everyone, I know that you've been over to Helium Hacks Happy Hour. I mean, you sat in before and, participated more than a time or two. And there are a lot of folks on that call that really, really like Datacake because it's just a straight up easy way to get what you need to, get your data over into a dashboard, get it done. And I can't overemphasize the white labeling thing.
Yeah.
That's really huge. And anyone else on this call, if you haven't looked at white label pricing for other, I guess, options, it's something Datacake does a very good job at. And
Thanks.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
no, thank you, man.
And we have a very strong roadmap and a couple of very strong vision where we want Datacake to take to make everything easier and more featured and focused and so on.
Is there any way, just right to close this, if we could show like a login for a white label system? Is that?
Yeah, I was showing it, but I think I was too fast. Sorry for that. It's just like I'm making so many videos right now, and it's just I always try to squeeze everything inside that. So this is how white label login would look like. So you don't see the Datacake any longer. You see, your own logo, and it's pretty basic. We know this. Here's the registration detail, and you can also override the terms of usage and privacy policy. There are a couple of ideas what we want to do, like having the background choosable with like an icon or like a picture, some different colors and things like that. But we wanted to bring this feature out very fast, and it takes some time to develop all these features. So we concentrated on the focus on the most important things. So this is why it looks like very simple but basic. And yeah, this is the login. And from there on, you could log in to your account on that. This here, it says for ein paar Sekunden, which means a few seconds ago, is because of we're using a JavaScript library that does this automatically based on the browser language that you set. So even if I've selected the English language,
Gotcha.
It would automatically default to German in here. The same thing with the Node-RED stuff.
And that's like with commas as well, commas versus periods for.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And because of this, it's a global dashboard, which means it has no sidebar. I could share this link to everyone. It takes everything it can get out of the browser information. But if you're logged into like in the PAX counter, you can see that this is English, and it will stay English because right now we have support for German and English, but we are focusing more on English because we're extending and we have more customers around the world and than we have in Germany, which means that we have a strong international focus. We want to do things right here. So what we will do is that we will bring a new translation feature where you can, in this case, like in the, let's go into the dashboard here, and you can see that here we support German, English. German is always defaulted, so you could also place the English word into German. What we will do is like English default language and then add multiple language. This is something that's coming. It takes a few deploys until we are there, but basically we're focusing on English only right now.
Okay.
With the addition of some German, but so nobody has to learn German. I know that German is a horrible language. So.
Well, I've got another question. Why did you name it Datacake? This coming from the community here.
I think that my co-founder Lucas is also on the call here, so he might be laughing a little bit. Basically, I was trying to find a name for the company that we're building and for the platform and so on. And I was speaking of something fancy like Thing Cloud or ThingWorks or stuff like that. It was a super good decision not to take that because right now everybody is calling everything Thing when it is with IoT. And he was completely complaining that it would be a bad name and so on. And I said to him, well, then you should come up with a better name. And he just said like, well, everybody wants to have a piece of the data, so why not calling it Datacake?
I love that.
And at that time, I wasn't thinking of a better name and said like, okay, let's take this. And this is why Datacake. And it seems like it's a good name because people can remember that. It's not something that goes under because of we have this word thing in there. So yeah, that's
I love
the
it,
story
man.
of Datacake.
No, that's better than I could have dreamed as an answer. I absolutely love that. That's great, man.
Thanks.
Okay, so I guess is there any kind of last closing comments you would like to throw out here, Simon?
There are a couple of questions here in the chat I can see.
Okay.
What I can offer is that, because I cannot address everything here, is that we have, when you go on our website, you can see this live chat bubble here where you can speak directly with us. It's not a robot, it's actually humans that are behind this. We are not so fast in responding right at the second, and but we will get back to everyone. And if you leave a message and an email here, I promise that I will answer this question and get back.
You guys are amazingly fast on this, though, and because you're in Germany, if you're in the States, there is kind of an offset there of what 6, 7? What do we have? A number of hours.
Depends on where you are.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I'm not sure, but it's 9 hours to San Francisco and 6 hours to New York. Yeah. So right now it's 10:20 p.m. over here in my time.
So everyone, please don't, just slam him with questions right now. But
no, it's okay, because they all are just sorted and ordered in our CRM system, and then we can get back in.
You guys are always great about answering the questions that have come through, and you also have a Discord channel over on our Helium Discord. So if you have questions, not just the folks that write Datacake, Simon and Lucas, but you actually have a lot of people who use Datacake who can answer some questions or field those questions over on our Discord channel. So please make sure to kind of hop in there. But man, Simon, thank you very much for being around today.
Absolutely welcome.
And doing this demonstration. If anyone has questions, I hope everyone knows how to find Datacake and use it. Check this out. It's neat stuff, folks.
I would also like to say thank you, everyone, especially the team at Helium, for letting us join here and presenting everything. So thanks for the time.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. And I appreciate you being a part of this, man. Thanks a lot, Simon.
You too, everyone.
Take care.
Have a great time. Bye.